Hello everybody, and welcome to an episode of Wonderdraft here on the Wooden Otter. What I'm hoping to do is show you how to make a map based off of some real-world inspiration. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to show you what my inspiration is going to be for this map.
So, this is a snapshot from Google Earth of a place in New Zealand called Lake Wainea, which is, these two lakes in this mountain range. I forget which part of New Zealand it's from. I'm probably butchering the name as well, so I apologize to any Kiwis who may be watching this. But I think that this is a really interesting shape for a city. There's this feature in the middle between these two lakes called the Neck, which is where I'm going to be placing my fantasy city. And we're just going to be kind of trying to duplicate this topography into my map, so that way I can then go in and change it how I would like it to be, and add the city, and turn it into a nice fantasy setting. I mean, the Lord of the Rings movies were filmed in New Zealand, I believe, so it makes sense that this is the type of topography that I'm looking for in like a very extreme sense. There's, these river valleys in these rivers in these valleys, in these flat valleys in between these mountains, but these mountains are huge and they shoot straight up out of the lake bed, and it's just a very austere kind of topography that I'm really looking for in my kingdom, which is mainly dwarves. Makes sense that they would live on a mountain. So, yeah, this is my inspiration, and let's see if we can't duplicate this in Wonderdraft.
So now, back in Wonderdraft, we're going to make a new map, and we're going to be changing some of the presets that I typically like to work with. So, in terms of a template, I think the last map I made, I used US letter, which was fine. It wasn't bad, but this time I'm going to be selecting full HD, simply because I'm using the maps more on virtual tabletops these days rather than printing them out, for obvious reasons. Everyone knows why that might be true. Starts there, kind of goes up to like the lower portion of this, and then it kind of like takes a angle and like sweeps up. So the first lake is kind of like this, with like a little boop, like that's going to be where the neck is. Now the other lake starts much further up. Let's lower the size of the eraser, please. Kind of starts up here, and remember, we're not trying to mimic perfectly. I don't want a perfect duplication. So let's work on the coastline tool. So we're going to lower the landmass. fatten that up. Feather, feather, feather. That's better. That's better. So that's my general lake shapes. Now, let's see here. What should I draw next? I think the obvious choice here for what to draw next is going to be rivers. Like, that would be what I would assume the next shape is. This is fine. What I have here is fine, because the rivers feeding these lakes in New Zealand, not actually that big. They kind of have the mountains right there, so they don't really need to be all that large. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this river. This river on the map, if you're looking at it, scroll back, is called Cattle Flat, the area that I'm actually working in. So we're going to start here. So here are the rivers feeding the lakes that serve the city of Ostboro. Let's talk about some symbols. Let's start with the big one. Obviously, we need... Whoa, Nelly. That is a big symbol. Bring the symbols back. This is Castle 1. Put Castle 1 right there. Castle 2. This is a heavily fortified city. So we're putting all them castles. Ostboro does not F around. Ships. Here we go. Carrack, or a galleon, or an octant, whatever that is. We can totally place a galleon right there, and a carrion right here. Just to show, like, we got shipping on both sides, boys. Alright, this is a good example for how I want my city to kind of be portrayed. It's large, it's on 2 lakes, it's got a spit of land which allows it to have docks on both sides, there's going to be bridges going across from one side of the lake to the other. Now, let's talk mountains. Mountains are obviously the big part of this map because our inspiration, New Zealand, has a buttload of mountains all over this map that we're choosing. All over this map. Playful, jagged peaks. These peaks are jagged. there's not a lot of room for trees to grow in the mountain range. So they don't take up too much space. And the space that is there kind of gotten taken over by the city for farmland. So your river valleys, with the exception of this one, obviously, are going to primarily be forested or farmland. I'm going to put just a little bit of trees right here. I think that would make sense. Why would you want to go all the way out onto an isthmus when you got a river right there for farming? So do that. Now, I believe if we go back to landmass, we can get a ground cover brush. And we can start brushing down some farmland, basically. What does that look like? That looks a little silly. Let's turn down the brush opacity. Kind of give me a mottled green. And we're going to color this in. No, we're not, because that looks like doo-doo brown. What if I just tap it? Oop, it goes away. That's what happens. I mean, I can do that. That's what it looks like when I do that. Labels. I'm going to grab the label tool, and we're going to keep it as a city. There, Ostboro. We'll do Tarn Wanaka, Tarn Hawaii, Minaret Bay. Welcome to Hunter Valley, where all manner of beasties roam. Glenhue Bay, Black Peak, Mount Alta, Mount Otago, Hawaii River, the Marikit River. Let's get rid of a bunch of stuff right there. And we'll put my compass rose back. Alright guys, well that'll have to be it for this episode of working in Wonderdraft with my new XP pen, Star G640 from XP Pen. I hope you enjoyed making this map with me. I know that I enjoyed it. I really like working off of real-world reference points to kind of, you know, make sure that my maps are grounded in reality and make logical sense. I really don't like when maps are just like kind of off the wall and the mountains are going at all different angles and there's, you know, one lonely mountain off here in the middle of the fields. Like, mountains don't do that. Mountains like to grow together. Feel free to leave a comment down below if you want to see more map making ventures based on real world locations. And while you're at it, why not suggest a real world location that I can dip my toe into? Perhaps you know of a place that you'd really like to see receive a fantasy map treatment. And perhaps I'll look at it and consider it and make a map of whatever you suggest. I think that would be really cool, actually. So yeah, leave a comment below, and as always, liking and subscribing is definitely appreciated, and it really lets me know that you like what's going on the channel, and you want me to keep going. So I will catch you guys next time here on the Wooden Otter. Peace!